They dragged my wife off our front porch in broad daylight, her book still clutched in one hand, one slipper flying off like a balloon losing air. She didn't scream. She didn't beg. She just said, clear as a command in a war zone, echo protocol. Engage. And I swear, even the birds stopped chirping. The thing is, those wannabe neighborhood enforcers, dressed like mall cops and armed with laminated guidelines, had no idea who they were messing with. My wife, Lauren, wasn't just some quiet suburban reader who baked cookies and cared about HOA rules. She was a former CIA field commander with more black ops under her belt than our neighborhood had mailboxes. And now, thanks to 3 overzealous clipboard crusaders, she was wide awake. It started like any other Thursday. The sun poured over our porch, warming the wooden slats. Coffee steamed in our mugs. The scent of lilacs floated over from Mrs. Bowman's yard next door. Lauren was absorbed in a thriller novel, the kind with spy satellites and assassins in tuxedos. I was half listening to a podcast about grilling the perfect steak. Peaceful, predictable, until the HOA's golf cart screeched to a halt at the curb like we owed them rent in a war zone. Out came the trio, clipboard Cliff, walkie-talkie Travis, and Karen. Yes, that Karen. Her mirrored sunglasses flashed in the sun. Her helmet hair was so tight it looked vacuum-sealed. She stepped onto our lawn with the certainty of a general and the grace of a wrecking ball. "Ma'am," she barked, "you are in violation of Section 14, Clause B. No politically disruptive material may be displayed in public view." Lauren didn't even blink. "It's a novel," she said. "Fiction. Spy fiction." "That's the problem," Travis added, holding his walkie-talkie, decorated with SpongeBob stickers, like a weapon. "This is a safe neighborhood." Lauren glanced at his walkie, then returned to her book. "You're literally holding a children's toy." Karen's expression soured. She reached into her utility pouch and pulled out a laminated sheet labeled Level 3 Infraction Warning, Final Notice. I saw it glint in the sunlight, like a weapon drawn in a cartoon courtroom. "You are being non-compliant," she snapped. Lauren calmly turned a page and sipped her coffee. That's when Cliff said it. "Remove her from the porch." I laughed. I genuinely thought it was some kind of HOA-themed improv theater. But they moved. Cliff grabbed one arm, Travis the other. Karen barked orders. Lauren didn't resist. She looked at me, smiled, a quiet, knowing smile I'd seen only once before when we got lost in Istanbul and somehow found a rooftop cafe with the best lamb skewers I've ever tasted. That smile said, "Let it play out. They have no clue." She dropped her book. Her slipper went flying. Karen kept yelling something about community peace and discipline. Lauren simply pressed her thumb to her wedding ring and whispered, "Echo protocol. Engage." They hadn't even made it past the curb when a black SUV glided up the street like a shark through still water. No engine noise. Tinted windows. It stopped with surgical precision and outstepped a man in a suit, mirrored aviators, posture straight enough to cut steel. He ignored the HOA trio completely and came straight to me. "Sir," he said, "I'm Agent Reed. Where is Commander Lawson?" I blinked. "In their custody," I said, pointing at the mess of khaki and clipboards attempting to detain my wife. Reed's jaw tightened. "They what?" Karen stepped forward, clipboard raised. "Excuse me, sir. We're conducting a civilian detainment for code non-compliance." Reed cut her off like a guillotine. "This woman is a ranking officer in the Central Intelligence Agency and has full diplomatic immunity under active recovery protocol. You have just committed a federal offense." Todd dropped Lauren like she was radioactive. Cliff turned white. Karen stammered something about patriotic duty and preserving lawn standards. Lauren stood up, dusted herself off, and returned to the porch as if she'd taken a brief detour for milk. "Told you," she said, retrieving her book. Then came more SUVs. Another. Then a mobile intel van. The neighbors peeked out from behind curtains, cameras recording. One woman clutched her pearls and muttered, "Terrorists." The 3 self-appointed HOA sheriffs stood frozen as agents quietly took over the street. No sirens. No flashing lights. Just quiet, efficient dominance. Reed handed me a phone. "There's more," he said. "Your wife's presence here was never about retirement. It was surveillance. And we believe this HOA is part of something larger." Lauren sighed. "I was supposed to stay off-grid. Observe. But they pull me off my own porch. That qualifies as engagement." Turns out, the HOA had been siphoning resident fees into shell companies, dabbling in crypto laundering, and installing surveillance tech disguised as birdhouses. Karen and her board were puppets, but dumb ones, which is arguably worse than evil in the wrong hands. Lauren activated a mobile command center in our basement overnight. Gone were the dusty dumbbells and ping-pong table. In their place, encrypted comms, satellite uplinks, and enough digital intel to make a Bond villain sweat. And a mini fridge, stocked with kombucha and cold brew. They weren't just enforcing rules, Lauren said, scanning maps overlaid with red nodes. They were testing systems, soft authoritarianism disguised as community standards. Operation Sunshade. That's what it was called. Government-level surveillance software had made its way into Karen's clutches. Someone higher up had given it to them, maybe to see how far suburban control could go. Karen thought she was policing Lawn Heights. In reality, she was helping someone test mass behavioral manipulation. We launched our counter-op quietly. Lauren disguised herself as a dog walker and scouted Karen's house while a hummingbird-sized drone flew in through an open window. Inside, cat figurines, motivational posters, and a full-on tactical operations corkboard. Community profiles. Red string. Surveillance target. I was on the list. Label. Resists authority. Potential subversive. Monitor trash patterns. By nightfall, our intel confirmed that the HOA had infiltrated home security feeds and mapped the entire neighborhood into threat zones. Todd had filed a budget for facial recognition cameras. Cliff wanted tasers. Karen? She wanted loyalty badges tied to lawn maintenance. Lauren sent an encrypted report to her old agency contact. Authorization came fast. Escalate the situation. And escalate we did. First came psychological disruption. We sent anonymous letters to Karen and her team, printed on high-grade paper from Lauren's CIA leftovers. Accusations. Hints. Enough to fracture their trust. Cliff got a warning about fraudulent overtime reports. Todd's letter suggested someone filed a complaint about illegal audio surveillance. Karen's letter accused her of using HOA funds to purchase marshland camouflage in a neighborhood with zero marshland. They panicked. Then came the audio disruptions. Lauren hacked into the HOA's walkie system and played distorted nursery rhymes, robotic voices whispering audit protocols. Travis began wandering in circles, whispering into his walkie. Karen strapped a GoPro to her chest and posted long rants on the HOA forum that read like Cold War manifestos. Lauren built a quiet resistance. She recruited Frank, a retired Navy intel officer, and Ryan, a data analyst turned stay-at-home dad. Together, they planted seeds of paranoia, rumors about secret audits and federal investigations. Karen called an emergency board meeting. We live-streamed it via drone to select neighbors. They screamed at each other, accused one another of treason. Todd tried to storm out, only to find Karen had padlocked the garage for security. The next day, the garage stayed shut. Rumors spread of secret tribunals. Someone photoshopped Karen's face onto a dictator's body with the title Supreme Grass Commander. It went viral in our community chat. Then came the grand finale, the HOA Spring Gala. Karen billed it as a celebration of unity, a healing event, soft jazz, lemonade, patriotic bunting. But for Lauren, it was checkmate. She deployed her former colleagues, a face painter who could fry electronics, a DJ who once worked for the NSA, a hot dog griller monitoring drone traffic with one eye. I was at the bake sale table, jamming HOA emergency signals with a modded walkie. Karen took the stage under a banner that read, "Together we enforce." Just as she launched into her speech, the projector behind her flickered to life, playing surveillance footage, financial records, secret recordings. One clip had her shouting, I don't care if it's illegal. We are the law. Cue the SUVs. Real ones this time. Agents swarmed the park. Reed stepped onto the stage. Karen Dufresne, he said, you are under investigation for misuse of surveillance equipment, unauthorized data collection, and financial misconduct. Karen tried to speak. Reed held up a flash drive. We have it all. Todd wept. Cliff sat on the grass. A balloon floated off. The HOA board was escorted away in silence. Lauren stood beside me, arms crossed, watching the collapse with surgical calm. You timed it perfectly, I whispered. Just needed the right stage, she said. The neighborhood changed overnight. The patrol cart rusted under a tree. No more rulers measuring lawn heights. Kids played in the street again. Someone flew a flamingo-shaped kite in open rebellion. Freedom had returned. 2 days later, I was elected HOA president by accident. My name written in as a joke. I accepted on one condition. No more uniforms, no surveillance, and a 20-foot ban on clipboards near mailboxes. Apologies trickled in. Cliff brought banana bread. Todd returned the walkies. Karen? Her house was for sale. Redding scrawled, must sell fast. Rumor was she fled to Arizona for a fresh start. But peace is a funny thing. It doesn't last. A week later, a package arrived. No return address. Inside, a key card and a single note. Phase 2 begins. Destination enclosed. Lauren stared at the note. The address was in Arizona. She didn't say much. Just retrieved a secure case from behind our bookshelf. Gear cleaned. Boots laced. That night, we sat on the porch under a starry sky. You know, she said, I really thought I could retire. You got 3 out of 4, I smiled. She laughed and took down a suburban dictatorship in the process. The next morning, she was gone, vanished into the SUV that appeared like clockwork. A single note left on the fridge. Water the plants. Don't trust anyone with a clipboard. Days passed. I grilled. I watered. I held neighborhood cookouts instead of meetings. Someone made me a sash, president of chill. Then, a week later, she came back. No sirens. Just stepped onto the porch like she'd gone to get milk. They weren't ready, she said, handing me a flash drive. What was on it? Connections. Names. A network of HOAs being used as testbeds for behavioral control systems under the guise of community harmony. This isn't over, she said, sipping her coffee. I guess this is your new retirement hobby. Something like that, she smiled. We upgraded the porch. Better chairs. A hidden gnome security system. And every night, we sat there, her with her book, me with my toast, waiting for the next clipboard to cross the line. Because peace isn't just the absence of conflict. Sometimes, peace is knowing your wife can dismantle a surveillance state before breakfast. And sometimes, it's just a woman in slippers, daring anyone with a badge and a bad attitude to try her.